Loving kindness is about opening up our heart. It's about cultivating compassion, first for ourselves and then for others. It's about getting out of our own head, out of our own version of life, and placing ourselves in a more universal context. It's about connecting to one thing that we all share in common, what in yoga terms is called dukkha, or suffering. Today, we explore this powerful practice of loving kindness to train ourselves to reframe our experience. Beyond negativity and judgment and bias, we can uncover compassion, first toward ourselves, then toward others in our lives, and ultimately toward the planet. Hi, I'm Steve from Steve White Yoga, bringing you the application of yoga to manage your health, improve your relationships, and balance your life through yoga beyond the mat. Let's look at today's session. As I've said before, there are a number of different types of meditation, mindfulness being just one of them. Within the yoga world that I'm aware of or that I've been exposed to, there are probably a few dozen different sort of categories, I suppose, of meditation. Mindfulness is nice because it's more accessible, I think, than some, particularly for people coming from a modern Western background and most of us having busy lives that are very much sort of segregated into tiny bits of doing this and doing that. And so it's a little bit more approachable for the general populace. And so it's good stuff. And as one of my teachers, Gary Kraftsow, would say, do this for 10 minutes a day, it will change your life. And that's not, that's the truth. And I think there are very few people I've ever met who would say after having had the experience that it wasn't worthwhile. So in yoga, we start with the premise that what happens in the world is 99.9% beyond our control. And so what is within our control is how we respond to it. And thus, what happens out there, and whether we pay attention or not, whether we get upset about it or not, whether we worry or not, whether we get frustrated or angry or ruminate for hours on end or not, does any of this sound familiar? Whether we do that or not, the events of the world don't care. They're going to go on and do what they do anyway. And so really the only thing that we have much control or impact over is our own reaction to what's going on. And therefore affecting, what I would say is the circle of influence, those people that are around us, whether it's our family or our work environment or our neighborhood or friends or whatever it might be. So in a sense, there is a greater cause to this whole process than just feeling better for yourself. It's creating a better world in some way. This was my introduction to Buddhism almost 20 years ago, was when I discovered the purpose in life was to, in the words of Buddhism, create an enlightened society. And that sort of stuck with me. The notion that we're working for our own betterment, but for the betterment of the world as well, in whatever way that might be. So this is a process about exploration, a process about observation. Today, we're going to enter into what's a very traditional practice called Maitri, which translates usually as loving kindness. And it's designed to help us as individuals and as a society address our own suffering. If you're familiar with the brilliant author Byron Katie, she says, people suffer from minding other people's business. No truer words could possibly be said. So, the way most of us live our lives, we're constantly striving to validate ourselves by moving either towards something, holding on to something, or in yoga terms, moving away from something or rejecting something. So in this process, everyone has their versions of comparing themselves to somebody else. or to some other group, or to some position or measure in life, whatever it might be, where we live or how much money we make or what our bank balance is, or who we associate with or what clubs we belong to, or whether we're athletic or not, or eat well or not, or whatever it might be. And so when we compare ourselves to there are sort of two directions to go. One is to chastise ourselves in some respect or other, and just about everybody does this, to say that in some way or another we're not good enough because we've made a comparison. Or the other way to go is to sort of elevate oneself and to suggest that we're better than somebody else or some group of people, and thus convince ourselves that we're okay, that we're doing all right. In yoga terms, this is part of what they call the cycle of suffering. Samsara is the Sanskrit word for it. And this is what we're trying to work our way out of and beyond. So suffering is a word that's used in Buddhism and in yoga. Its origin is a word in Sanskrit that is pronounced dukkha. And dukkha, if you take the etymological meaning of it, it means bad space, bad space. So dukkha is what suffering is in their world. And what it means in more common terms is that it's unhappiness, it might be pain, physical, psycho-emotional pain, unsatisfactoriness, and I took this word out of Wikipedia. So if it's not a word, don't blame me. I'd never seen it before. Or stress. So these are some common sort of manifestations of this traditional word, suffering. But it can also refer to more serious circumstances where life is, someone's life is being threatened or the quality of their life is compromised or impaired because of hardships. And they might be related to poverty or to injury or disease or their environment, relationships, whatever it might be. So we don't want to make light of this whole topic of suffering and say, well, we just have to get beyond this. That's not really the idea here. The idea is to come to terms with it as much as anything. It's not to get over yourself, but rather the framework of mindfulness is to practice this process of shifting our perspective, to remove ourselves from our sort of traditional habitual patterns of behavior and to offer something into the world which doesn't just reflect our reactivity. So that's sort of the idea of this. So I think that's all I need to say there. From Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, if we could read the secret history of our enemies, we would find in each person's life sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility. This speaks to part of our practice today, and I'll explain a little bit more about it in a second, but suffering isn't something that's self-contained. It isn't something that it's an exclusive that we as individuals get. No matter who someone is, what their station is in life, what they have or haven't accomplished or harmed, we're all sort of in the same general boat, which is that we all have this condition in some or many respects of suffering. So that is that. We are ready to go and in good time. This will be a little longer practice and you can start to settle into your seat. I'll just explain a little bit about it. The first part, we'll tune into something that we've worked with a lot already, which is the anchor. And if you are unfamiliar or need a refresher, we'll go through that. So we'll start with doing a few minutes of practice into anchoring. And then we'll enter this area of Maitri, or loving kindness practice. And it sort of has 6 phases to it. There is a wish or a supplication that we send out mentally. And we start with ourselves. That's phase 1. And then we do the same for someone who is close to us and someone that we love or adore. and we provide this supplication to them. And then we reach out a little further and touch into a family member or a friend. And then beyond that, the fourth level is someone about whom we're neutral. So this might be, it might be the bagman or woman at the grocery store, or it might be, the guy or woman that you get coffee from. That is when we can go out and get coffee at a coffee shop. But anyway, someone about whom you don't particularly have any distinct feelings one way or another. Then the next level is where it gets interesting because it's someone that we dislike. And we do the same supplication there. And finally, the last is a supplication for all beings everywhere, all living things, really, not just people, but all of the life on this planet and beyond, presuming there is life out there. So that's sort of the order of things. And so I just wanted to sort of set you up for that. So you don't get quizzed on this. So who you pick is not incredibly important. The process is what's important. And we'll sort of lead you through it as we get there. But that's sort of the order of things. And then we'll end, assuming we have some time left, and I think we will have a little time left, we'll end again with doing a little more practice with the anchor, which is always good. All right. So all of that said, would you find for yourself a comfortable seat if you haven't done that already? I'll say again that sitting is preferred to lying down, but that you should feel a sense of both alertness and ease. So often it's best to have your back, off of the back of the chair or couch or whatever you might be sitting on. And if you're on a cushion, then you don't have to worry about that. So we want to have this sense that we have an active spine, but that we can sort of relax into that. So go ahead and close your eyes. And first bring your attention to rest on your sitting bones. Pay attention specifically to the right sitting bone and to the left. And then take both of them into your field of awareness. And then sense or imagine your tailbone. Sense or imagine your sacrum. And then sort of work your way northward with your awareness to your low spine, your lumbar spine. To your middle spine, supporting the rib cage. And to your upper spine, the neck. And then by extension, feel a little lift coming straight through your head to the crown. Now bring your awareness back to your shoulders and relax. To all the muscles of your face and relax. To your arms, hands, fingers. To your chest and belly. To your hips, your legs, and to your feet. Let your chest and belly entertain a soft breath in and out. And then allow your attention now to settle onto an anchor. And we'll run through all three real quickly. These aren't the only ones, they're the common ones. So we already tried breath. Let's try sensation. So if you can direct your awareness and rest it in your hands and fingers, just notice. Notice sensation. Notice life. And then make a gentle shift and bring your attention to sound. And without analyzing or judging, just notice what you feel or what you hear. Notice what you hear. For the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be silent, except maybe for a couple of occasional cues. I'd like you to have an experience of your anchor, whichever you choose, sound, breath, or sensation, and begin to enter this process of recognizing and allowing. So as your attention wanders, recognize that that's occurring. Allow it. Allow that it's okay. And then gently steer your attention back around to find your anchor once again. So this is the process. Anchor, recognize, allow, and return. There is not a right or a wrong way to do this. It's simply a matter of engaging in the process and let whatever happens, whatever comes up, be okay. Anchor, recognize, and allow. And now we enter into this practice called Maitri, or loving kindness, which is about opening up the heart and cultivating love and compassion for ourselves first, and then for others. So we're trying to find peace and happiness, and we believe that by living to fulfill our own wishes and desires, we'll accomplish that. But wisdom tells us differently, and every spiritual tradition has some version of this same idea: to love all beings, to treat them as you would treat yourself, and to treat yourself kindly. So the supplication that we work with is this: uh, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be healthy, May I be at peace. May I be free from suffering and pain. So, with that, we will attach ourselves to the first idea, which is ourselves. So, I'll give you some guidance, but the idea is to, it doesn't have to be precise, but the idea is to repeat this a couple of times to yourself silently as we go through each. So, really come into some sense of your being right now, some sense of this body that's sitting here participating in this practice. And offer this. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace. May I be free from pain and suffering. And then consider someone close to you who you have deep respect or about whom you care deeply, and have them in your mind. You might even visualize them in your mind. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be at peace. May they be free from pain and suffering. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be at peace. May they be free from pain and suffering. And then shift to a friend or a family member. And again, have them in your mind. Perhaps even visualize them. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be at peace. May they be free from pain and suffering. And then to someone who you dislike, someone who is not in your favor. And doing these practices the first couple of times, this can feel a little empty, a little contrived, but just go with it. And continued practice in this realm begins to change the energy. So, with someone in mind that you do not like, wish them. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be at peace. May they be free from pain and suffering. Now, take a couple of breaths in and out and deepen your breath a bit. And as you do, can you get this sense of your breath being a means of contacting the greater world? So the in-breath is taking in the atmosphere, the environment. The out-breath is releasing back into that same atmosphere or environment. And consider that there are countless beings out there who share this plight on planet Earth. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be at peace. May they be free from pain and suffering. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be at peace. May they be free from pain and suffering. And then, if you would, come back to your anchor. Find a foothold in that anchor. And just spend another couple of minutes practicing this experience of awareness to anchor, awareness wandering, recognizing that, allowing it, and returning to the anchor. Distractions of the mind are part of this process. Simply recognize them, allow them, and bring your awareness to your anchor. And then relax your effort. I hope you got value out of today's session. And if you did, please hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. For more information, check out my website, stevewhiteyoga.com. And for additional videos on mindfulness and yoga beyond the mat, please subscribe. Thanks for watching today. We'll see you next time.